Yo, what it do, guys, and welcome back to another video. Now in today's video we're going to be taking a closer look at Excalibur with the Warframe 1999 update. He's one of the original 6 members, as we know as Arthur, so hence the skin that you're going to see here. Now we'll be looking at 2 steel path builds. The first one will be a Chromatic blade build, an Exalted blade build with the Augment, and the second build will be a first ability slash dash build with also with an Augment that you can go and see here. Now they both work a little bit different. The first build is more like those who are getting into Excalibur. The second build is for those who really want to like min-max and do big damage numbers. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about his abilities really quickly. Starting things off, if I can go and move my camera, starting things off with his passive. Let's go ahead and make his passive very simplified. Basically, whenever he wields swords, that's singular swords or things like Nakadas and stuff like that, he basically goes and gets 10% attack damage and 10% attack speeds. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys, unfortunately, it's not that great of a passive. The attack damage and the attack speed are additive to the mods of respective categories. For example, if I had a pressure point, if I go and show you an empty build here, and I type in the mod pressure point, you see this mod here, you see how it's not even ranked out, it's just 20%. Yeah, his passive is 10%, as in this mod is 100% better at that point, which is kind of sad to see. Same kind of goes with the attack speed there. If you go and consider things like Fury, at least his attack speed is better than the base Fury, but you get the idea though, right? It could be a lot better. Unfortunately, it's a little bit out of date. Who knows, maybe in the future they'll go and change his passive to be a lot better. Okay, now from here onwards, he does have a second passive, but it really just depends on which Excalibur you're playing. Long story short, hopefully you keep it a little bit like unspoilerish here. If you are running Excalibur, passive is just that. If you're running Excalibur Umbra, he'll fight alongside you. Okay, I won't go too much into that, and there's not too much to go ahead and explain with it either. He will just fight alongside you. So up first, we have got his first ability. This is called Slash Dash. Now there's a few things going to talk about with this one, so let's just go ahead and jump straight into it without yapping too much. So what's going to happen here is let's go and summon some enemies really quickly. So what's going to happen here, I'm just going to go and look this way. I'm going to go and press his first ability, and he's going to lunge. Now, during this lunge, he's also going to be invulnerable. So the top right, during that animation, he cannot be damaged. He cannot be crowd controlled. So this is a way for him to survive and guarantee that he's going to slash and dash. All right, now it's also, as you can really see, it's good for distance, which means this also scales on ability range. If you bump your ability range up, you can go really far with this ability, which is also cool. Now let's go and talk about it for damage and what it's doing. So first things first, what I'm going to go and do is I'm going to press 1, and I'm not going to press anything else, and I'm just going to use my mouse to move. So as you can go and see here, it's now going to chain the ability, and the combo is going to chain to wherever I'm kind of looking with my mouse as well. Well, that's not always guaranteed. It'll basically hit the closest enemies and so forth nearby. So you'll go ahead and get that chain. As it is hitting those enemies, what it's actually doing is it's also increasing your melee combo count by 1 for each hit that it's currently doing, which is also nice. And then it's just distributing damage between the IPS, and it's giving you guaranteed slash damage. So if I go and look at this enemy here and I hit that one, you can go and see this enemy is now bleeding. It is a guaranteed bleed proc, a guaranteed slash proc. If I go and hit that once and then hit it twice, you can see it's got 2 slash procs above its head now. So it's going to be bleeding quite a fair bit. Now it does also go ahead and synergize with your 4th ability. So when you do go and hit an enemy, I'll tell you what, this would be way better if I just do it with 1 enemy real quick. When you do go and hit an enemy, you'll just see 1 damage number when you hit 1 enemy. Okay, so if I go and do this real quick for you, boom, I did 1,700 damage. Now what you see there is the status tick. Okay, so this is all just bleeds from here onwards. So if I go and hit one more time, 1,700. However, if I go and pull his 4th ability out, which we'll get to a little bit later as well, but whilst this is active, there's an energy wave that comes off this attack. We'll get to that a little bit later. If I go and press 1 now, you'll see I actually get 2 lots of damage on that as well. What you will also notice is my damage goes down, but I'm going to explain why it does that in a second. You see how I'm not hitting the 1,700 anymore? Instead, I'm just hitting like a 38 and a 36. So one of them is an energy wave from the Exalted blade being channeled. The other one is the slash dash. So you might be thinking, well, hang on a second, why are you losing damage? So like you do 1,700 there. What's going on there? Okay, so let's explain this. I'm going to face this way because there'll be a whole bunch of text going up on the screen. So inside Warframe, I'll try and keep this as simplified as I can, but I'll also try and teach you guys the advancements of it. Inside Warframe, what we have is that we typically have two different formulas of abilities, and they're called essentially they're called exalted abilities and pseudo exalted abilities. Okay, now his fourth ability, when I go ahead and activate it, again we'll explain more about his fourth a little bit later, but when I go and activate it, can you see how he pulls the sword out, right? And I can kind of swing that sword around. Get the idea? So I've basically like pulled a weapon out of basically my ass. Like I pulled a weapon from thin air. That's called an Exalted, right? Because we've summoned that weapon into existence. Now there's a few other Warframes that have that as well. If you want some references, they're up on the screen here. But you got Hildren's Balefire, her first ability, Titania's fourth ability, the Dex Pixia, or even the Dex Dewata, Ivara's bow. The list is there, all right? So if you want to understand how that ability works, that's what's going on there. It's an Exalted ability. So his first ability is a pseudo exalted ability. If you'll notice, he gets a sword. So where's he getting the sword from? Now that is the exact same exalted blade as his fourth. However, it's now called a pseudo exalted. Why is it a pseudo exalted? Because it's still summoning something from thin air. Okay. Now, other Warframes that also have pseudo exalted abilities that will also be on screen here. You got things like Korra, her first ability, Whip Claw. Things like Atlas, his first ability, a landslide where he punches enemies. Things like Gara with her first ability and Shattered Lash. She gets like a sword, like a glass sword as well. These are all called pseudo exalted. Why are they pseudo exalted, and what does a pseudo exalted essentially mean? It basically means that this weapon, this ability, the damage doesn't just scale off ability strength. Yeah, most abilities scale off just ability strength. A pseudo exalted ability scales off ability strength and whatever mods are placed on your weapon. And again, it has to be reflective to what you're doing. So in this case, I am using a melee. So therefore, the melee mods that I have on a melee weapon will actually amplify the damage that I do with Slash Dash. You'll end up seeing this a little bit later when we go and get towards a Magistar build somewhere inside the video a little bit later, so there'll be a timestamp. I'll explain it a little bit more there, okay? But just realize your damage will be increased due to the mods that you have on a weapon. Don't get it twisted. It is not the weapon itself. It's mostly the mods and Incarnon evolutions, which we'll get to again a bit later. So that's what's going on with Slash Dash, all right? Now, the only thing I can go and tell you is sometimes when his fourth is like chaining an awful lot, his first is chaining an awful lot, you can jump to cancel. If it's going to hit like enemy, you can just go and press jump and you'll jump out of the chain. Okay, anyways, hopefully I've explained that as well as I can, because that's probably the longest ability to explain. So up next we have got Radial Howl. Now Radial Howl, thankfully, nowhere near, I don't need to explain this one anywhere near as much. Basically what's going to happen is Excalibur is going to end up lifting his sword. He releases a quick burst of light, blinding any enemies in line of sight. Okay, so again, if you are using Excalibur, you'll have something called Radial Blind. If you're using Excalibur Umbra, you'll be having something called Radial Howl. So if I do something very different right now and you don't understand what I've just done, just realize I have a Umbra version of Excalibur. So this. That. Normally, he would just put his sword in the air. However, I haven't, right? So anyways, when I've done that, all enemies in line of sight. So if I was behind this, these guys wouldn't go ahead and get stunned. As you can see, they're all fine. But if I do it over here, they all get blinded. When they are blinded, they're susceptible and open to finishes. So I can go ahead and do finishes on them like this, which is great. So if you want to go ahead and execute enemies, especially in like early game or mid game, you can go ahead and use that ability as well to go ahead and execute them or finish them. Do keep in mind, it does also go and blind bosses, but they're not stunned. And when the boss is blind, like, because it is obviously blind, if you end up like shooting a weapon, the boss will try and go ahead and locate you through sounds. So unless you go ahead and have like a mod on your weapon where it's a lot quieter so it doesn't hear your shots, then you can blind the boss and basically just dance around them, and the boss won't really typically know where you are. It will just go to the last location that it saw you. Okay, now this also can go ahead and, you see like security cameras on the wall, you can also go ahead and blind those security cameras and deactivate them so they can't go ahead and see you. And this ability is also subsumable to the helmet, so you can give this ability to other Warframes if you wish to. Right, up next we have got Radial Javelin, and Radial Javelin has got the least amount of detail ever written on the ability ever. So, to explain this one, what is going to happen is he's going to pierce his Exalted Blade into the ground, and it's going to summon javelins that launch into nearby targets, dealing 1000 damage, distributed between impact, puncture, and slash with guaranteed slash proc and stagger. Now, all you're going to go and need though is line of sight. So again, if you can't see them, if they can't see you, and I try and do it here, okay, I didn't actually think that was going to go and happen. I think I got my sources wrong there, but you do not need line of sight. Joe, I do it live. It's okay. I can be wrong. I don't mind being wrong. I'm never wrong. The game was wrong. Anyways, so apparently you don't need line of sight. Anyways, the idea is that you get guaranteed slash procs, as you can go and see there, and the damage is distributed between IPS. Honestly, there's nothing else to really go and say about the ability. It doesn't do a tremendous amount of damage. This can be an ability that you can subsume off, but we'll get to that another time. Anyways, that is essentially Radial Javelin in a nutshell. Sorry that I got the line of sight source wrong there. My bad, guys. Trust me, all right? I think I just messed up there. Anyways, up last we have got the Exalted Blade ability, which is going to be his Exalted weapon. So remember how his first is a pseudo exalted, this is going to be an Exalted weapon. So it's going to put simply, and the way that this works is you're going to need, I'm going to make sure I've got a lot of energy here. When I go and press 4, boom, I have got his weapon just out of thin air. So we've just summoned it. All right, now his weapon is going to drain per second as the weapon remains active. So even if I go and pull my gun out and whatnot as well, you'll see the ability is still toggled, still channeled. I'm still losing energy even if I'm not hitting with it. Now some Exalted, now if I press 4, I'm not doing it. Some Exalted weapons don't work like that. For example, Ivara's bow or Sight 09, his neutralizer, both of them are on shot. This one is drained because the ability is just considered active at all times. Okay, so what's going to happen here? He pulls it out and he's going to go and do technically 2 types of attacks. So let me go and explain it. So he's going to swing normally. However, can you see, if I just like move the screen around, you can see how like there's like energy waves that are hitting the wall. The wall kind of glow up there. So those energy waves can also go and hit enemies as well, as you can see there. So it's a bit more of a ranged related attack with a bit of a slowish projectile going out. I say slow because it's not super fast and it's definitely not super slow, so it's a slow-ish projectile though. Some projectiles will be way quicker to go and throw out. But anyways, when you do go and hit enemies with this energy wave, you do not build combo counter. Okay, so you see inside the bottom right, no combo counter. However, if I do go and hit them with the actual weapon, can you see in the bottom right now, my combo counter is now officially being built up. All right, so this is important to know because this will be things like Tennokai and so forth as well. Tennokai doesn't work very well with Exalted Blade unless you're hitting with the blade itself, not with the energy wave. Now the energy wave it's got 50% critical chance, 200% critical multiplier, 50% status chance, so forth, and that's mostly about it. Now it does go and have its own form of where it can be modded. The first ability is enhanced by mods that you have on your melee weapon. His 4th ability, or it's either his melee weapon or his Exalted Blade, whatever weapon he's got equipped. Because whenever you, if you have this weapon out here, this melee weapon, see in my hands? If I go and use my 4th now, if you'd watch, I'm going to try and cycle back to that. See, I can't cycle back to that weapon. Whereas if I get rid of my 4th, I can cycle back to this weapon. Basically, if your 4th is active, it replaces your melee weapon. Keep that in mind, all right? And that's where his first ability scales off the mods you have on your melee weapon. Do keep in mind his 4th scales off what he has modded on his Exalted weapon, which is this one down here. So we'll go and get into the build on that in a moment, but without further ado, let's actually go and get into a build now. Now you understand what's going on, right? Hopefully I explained that pretty well. Anyways, let's go and talk about a chromatic blade build just really quick, what I'm taking, why I'm taking it, and how it all works. So first things first, chromatic blades as an augment. What is going on? How does this work? Basically, what you're going to be doing is it's a normal ability. It hasn't really typically changed. However, the blade's damage type changes depending on the Excalibur's emissive color, and status chance is increased by 300%. So I know you can see the build here anyways, but I'm just going to pull you out just for a second. If we go towards the appearance and go towards emissive here, whatever color you've got here will change the base blade damage. So if I go and show you here and I click upgrade, you'll see I now currently have heat. Does that make sense? Whereas if I now go towards appearance here, and I change this towards, let's say, a blue, I've now got electric. So if I go towards this, you'll see it does electric. You kind of get the idea, right? Cold, toxin, white, green, so forth, so forth, so forth. So you understand that. What was I doing? Where is it? I've completely forgotten it now. Oh, it's a missive. There we go. Anyways, I want heat on mine. It's up to you what you want to go and put in yours, but heat is really good as a standalone element. So that's basically what's going on there. And it will also increase your status chance by 300% of the weapon itself as well. So the base weapon we can go and see here, it's 129% status chance because of the amount of strength I've got on my build. All right. So that alone is going to be fantastic. So we'll show you a build, the chromatic build, in a moment. So right here, we got the chromatic blade build, as you can go and see. So the chromatic blade build, again, augment, you understand how this now works. It's going to change the emissive type, and it's going to go and add status chance. Because I'm going to go ahead and be changing mine to heat, I'm going to be running Archon Vitality. Archon Vitality is going to make sure that whenever I go and hit an enemy with a heat proc, it's actually going to go ahead and basically apply 2 heat procs instead of 1 heat proc. And it's going to be giving me health at the same time. So overall, it's kind of, you know, 2 birds, 1 stone. I'm doubling my overall kind of damage with my attack, but I'm also helping my overall survivability. Now, inside this build, this is why I say it's an entry to Steel Path build. It'll be able to go and clear the entire Steel Path chart. It can absolutely have no problem doing that. But the moment you start to scale and you start wanting to like stay in missions longer and deal with harder and harder level enemies, you're going to start falling off in terms of survivability. Okay, that's just genuinely how it's going to go. All right, all we're going to be using for now is adaptations, going to get some type resistance damage reduction. It's not fantastic. It's good base level, but it will fall off once we start going a bit higher. Shield gating starts to take over. Overguard will go and help out. But these two alone are going to be like my overall survival from the mod side of things. Besides from Prime Sure-Footed, I don't want to be knocked down. I don't want to go and get disturbed. I'm going to be a melee build. I'm going to be in their face anyways. So this mod is going to be good there. If you don't have that mod, you could go ahead and use things like Handspring as well. Because again, you're going to be melee heavy. You're going to be getting in their face. This could be good. If you do go and get knocked down, 160% knockdown recovery. So you go ahead and get yourself back up a little bit quicker as well. Okay, so that can go ahead and go in there if you do want it. Now, as for the rest of the build, it's going to be entirely up to you as to how you want to handle your efficiency. Guys, again, whenever you go and watch my videos, you'll see that I run a very traditional setup. I can use things like Prime Flow for the overall energy stored maximum. I like storing more and more energy just in case, even if I don't expend all of that energy right there and then, if a situation does happen to go a bit hazy and go south, then I have loads of energy to correct what has happened going on, whether it be with a teammate and maybe something happened over there or whatever, I didn't pay attention, whatever else it may be. It could be a leech proc, it could be a whatever proc, whatever. So I'm storing lots of energy. Equilibrium synergizes really well with Synth Deconstruct mod from companions or just from killing enemies and getting them to drop health orbs. This also means Eximus units as well. Whenever you go and kill an Eximus unit, they're basically dropping a health orb. It's just free energy at that point, all right? And do keep in mind, it's going to be a very sustained build, so I'm going to be draining quite a lot. So as you can see, my drain right there is currently 2.25. It's actually not that bad, because do keep in mind the way that drain works. For those who don't know, I will go and just teach it, because there might be someone who doesn't know. So if there isn't, this is for you. Do keep in mind, when you hover an ability, if it's a drain per second ability, see that one there? Normally what you would go and do is, if I go ahead and put in Streamline on the builds, just going to show you here really quickly, you'll see not only did the drain go down, but the drain per second went down. You guys would understand that, right? Easy to understand. But let's go and show you something here. Once if I go and put duration on the build, right? And let's go and put in a prime continuity mod. See, my duration's gone up. Now, if you go and look here, you'll notice the drain didn't go down, but the drain per second did go down. You see, when it comes to drain per second, it's a combination of ability efficiency and for ability duration. Both of these, because the ability is lasting longer. See, the idea is that I channel this, right? So I'm keeping it out longer. It's based upon length. So therefore, it's considered a drain per second. Does that make sense? You can kind of see how that works, all right? So sometimes if you go ahead and put in like a fleet and expertise mod and you go and chuck that in there, you'll notice, oh look, the drain per second is 2.5. It didn't actually change whatsoever on the build. Because you'll be thinking, oh yeah, I got loads of ability efficiency. Yeah, but you also hurt your ability duration. Do you see what I mean? So, but you look at the drain is great. It's only cost me 10 to summon it, but then it's 2.5 from there onwards. If I now go do that and I put in a prime continuity underneath it, now look at the drain, 105. Okay, for those who didn't know that, now you know it, but hopefully that did help somebody. If it didn't, what a waste of my time. Up next, So we got the duration on here as well, because duration just works well because I'm going to be using a subsumable. I'll show you that in a second. So this is great and this is great. Lock those in. I've already explained all of those and this as well. Still charge. It's just, we're going to be doing a lot of melee, whether it be from the Chromatic or whether it be from the Surgeon. It doesn't really matter. Both builds are just going to benefit from the overall still charge. It's going to help you go and do more damage. All right. It's up to you what you're going to put in there. Generally, it's up to you. Just keep in mind, don't look at like energy returns, okay? If you are draining an ability, Energy Siphon is not going to give you energy when you're draining per second. This gives you energy per second. This won't give you energy per second, if that makes sense. It's a mod that gives you energy per second, but when you're draining per second, it can't give you energy per second because you're draining per second. Anyways. All right, so don't go and chuck that in. From there onwards, strength, as you can go and see in here, I've just go ahead and lots of strength because I want to go and get more change on it. So my status trance is 762%. And then I got some narrow-minded in here for the ability duration as well, which again helps my overall drain on there. Now my range, I don't really need an awful lot of range for this build. My goal is going to press 4 and just mow enemies down. So with that, I'm going to need a few things, right? So first things first, the subsumable. I'm using Clervo's Raffle Advance. Now, I'll show you what this looks like in a second as well, and then we'll go and get some gameplay for you so you can see how that truly looks like. But Raffle Advance, why do we use this? Now, there's a few other things that you could go and use, and I won't lie to you. I don't know if I want to go and put them on the screen here, or I'm just going to talk about one in particular. I actually think Jade's Phantom Eyes would actually technically be better for the builds, but because not only is it going to help your overall survival because you're kind of burning them whenever you're looking towards their direction, but Jay's Phantom Eyes goes in the direction that you are looking, and Chromatic Blade also goes in the direction that you're looking. So technically they synergize together easily, right? That being said though, red numbers. Do I need to explain anymore? If I was you, consider a Phantom Eyes. That's all I'm going to go and say. I think it works pretty well, and I think it actually does a bit of a better job in terms of not only debuffing enemies, removing their armor and their shields, but also added a bit of survival. This only adds red numbers to what I'm doing. I'm going to increase my additive critical chance to the base of the weapon's damage. Okay, so this is a giant critical additive mod to the base of the weapon's damage. It's huge. Okay, it's absolutely huge. So from there onwards, strength. Okay. Now, just over here really quickly, before we go and get into the Exalted Blade build, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like. Reaper gives me health regen per second and 660 armor. Now, if you don't have Reaper, because like I said, there's going to be an entry to Steel Path build, don't expect shield gating or whatever or so forth. What you can go and do is you can go and use Arcane Guardian. Quite an easy one to go and do. Whenever you're damaged, there's 50% chance for 900 armor for 20 seconds. It's just got to go and keep you alive, all right? It's a very health-related build, which means because we're going health, and because I go and get armor off that and I get health regen, I can also go and use things like Arcane Blessing as well, right? It just synergizes with what I'm doing. Health, armor, health over time. Well, sorry, health regen. Yeah, hot, health over time, right? So all of those are kind of like this, all of this little section here. This is my survival. Right, that's up to you. You don't have to run just these. If you want to, you can go and run things like Arcane Strike. So if you're surviving and you just want more damage, there you go. You get more attack speed and so forth, increase your DPS. You can go and run in things like Arcane Fury. Again, more melee damage. You can go ahead and just do a lot more melee damage with your build. There are other things as well if you really wanted to. There's no harm in you running things like Arcane Aegis. If you wanted to go and help a little bit of shield gate in return, it's probably better to go ahead and go that route as well, but that's also going to be nice. But anything that's basically melee on this also works. Now there are these new ones. I think it's called a Petus. Just want to go and show you this one off here. It's unique status effects from abilities, grants 6% ability strength and 3% ability efficiency. Now ability efficiency can help your drain, and ability strength will help your overall damage. Can you use this on Excalibur? You can, but there's better options. I'm just going to be honest, okay? There is better options. So, and keep in mind, it's per unique status effects. So let's go and talk about the status effects, and let's go and show you the Chromatic Blade build just really quickly. So this is the build that I've currently got updated with the Warframe 1999 update. So let's go ahead and talk about what we see here really quickly and go to get into it. So first things first, I'm going to be going for, not only have I got the raffle side of things, where I am benefiting significantly from critical chance. So this critical chance is going to go up significantly. I'll be over, I don't even know how much critical chance. I'll be adding over 300% in the end, because you'll see why. So I'll be like 300 and almost 60, 370% critical chance that you'll see on here, which guarantees me crit tier 3, almost crit tier 4, which is great, which helps my overall critical multiplier. Then I've got things like condition overload. So this is 80% melee damage per status type effect on the target. Let's go and look at all my statuses. I have got magnetic, I've got radiation, I've got viral, and I've got heat. I've got 4 elements coming off on this bad boy with 138% weighted towards viral, then going in towards heat, with a couple of others complementing with the radiation magnetic. So we've got these new mods. We've got magnetic rush, which doesn't also just give me magnetic, but it also gives me attack speed. Lovely stuff. Then we got the radiation on here, heavy attack efficiency. We don't really care for that. Okay, just gonna be honest, don't care for that. Anyways, we've got the radiation on there. Then I've got the combination for viral down here, because viral heat's going to go really, really well. I've got galvanized steel, which does go ahead and proc, thankfully. I did go and test it multiple times. But so it gives me 110% critical chance. We don't care for that because, again, Raffle is going to give us critical chance, so we don't care about the crit on here. But what we do care about is critical damage. This is a better version of basically this mod here, but it requires you to go ahead and get kills. It's going to give you 120%. It's going to give you 90%. If you don't have this mod, just put that mod there. You're good. All right. And if you don't have this mod here, which is basically going to go ahead and increase the status damage to elements that are dealing dots on status procs. So in this case, if you don't know what that is, just read the little box next to it. In this case, I am doing heat, and I am amplifying my heat by basically applying viral towards it. And not only is my heat also being amplified, keep in mind, I have the Archon Vitality. Remember, I get 2 heat procs on just 1 attack anyways. So my Archon Vitality, for every heat proc I'm doing, I'm basically doubling. So as you can imagine, I'm getting a lot of heat procs off on the build, and it's going to go ahead and work really well in tangent together. All right, now I do go and throw in the focus defense. It's a parry angle, boys. It's a parry angle. Can't hate it. You're going to be keeping your weapon out quite a fair bit. So this is what it's going to look like inside the simulacrum real quickly, and then we'll go and show you the other build real quickly as well. So I would probably go in towards Maduari Focus School, sling strength into the ground a little bit. I go and get 40% extra ability strength. I'll show you that in a second. I'll also go and show you what I'm about to do in a second as well. I'm going to go and do this. This is also going to increase my overall ability strength. I'm then going to go and pull the sword out. And if I go and show you this really quickly, can you see melee critical chance? 353%, because I just bumped an extra 100% ability strength. I'll show you how I do that. And then also this has gone up to 1000% status chance as well. Lovely stuff. All I got to go and do now, look towards the ground, quickly go and blink, and now just start attacking. And as you can see, we will just melt these level 225 heavy gunners like it's absolutely easy, or as they say, a hot knife through butter. I was about to say a hot butter through knife, but anyways, so good damage numbers. The damage on the build itself is actually pretty good. It's just a little bit more kind of single target-ish. It's not like a melee influence setup, you know. So it's still really good damage, and it looks really nice with all those red beautiful numbers complementing the build. Now what I did go and do there, and I will go and show you here really quickly, was I did go and use Maduari Focus School for the sling strength. So this adds 40% ability strength for 20 seconds when I dash into the ground twice. And then I also used this Grimoire over here, and I used it also for the Foam Invocation. Whenever I go and fire the alt fire of the Grimoire, I also go ahead and get stacked up ability strength up to 15 times. It's going to give me 60% ability strength, which means between me doing this and me doing this, I go from, if you go and look here, down here really quickly, I go from a 762% and a 254 into a and then look at the top right there, that's procced, and then it's this. And then I go from a 762 to a 1061 to a 254 to a 353. Lovely. All right, and just like that, now I can snapshot my 4th ability. So when I now pull this out, I pull this out with 1000% status chance. Even when these buffs in the top right expire, it still has 1000% status chance. Okay, I summoned it at that time. I had an extra 100% ability strength increase. You good with that? Excellent, because I've got a lot to go and keep going over, so hopefully you've kept up with me so far. This is what, let's go ahead and start putting some gameplay on the screen here for the Chromatic blade build. As you can see here, this is a very simplistic build. The idea is you're going to summon your, well, you're going to go and put loads of buffs on them, use your Maduari Focus School, use your Grimoire. If you don't have those, it's okay. Just summon your 4th ability. If you've got things like Colovo's Raffle Advance here, proc that every so often, just tap into that, and then just run it's just slash and dash through everything. It's not an actual slash dash ability though, because you'll see that that's the next one that we do. But anyways, you'll just basically be mowing enemies down. The damage is really good. The survival is kind of mint. Now here's the thing, the survival wouldn't actually be that bad. It's just that once you've tasted invulnerability and invulnerability setups, the damage doesn't feel that great. The survival doesn't feel that great. But keep in mind, for those who are kind of new to Steel Path and whatnot, you wouldn't know it any better, and I don't mean that in a horrible way. Just this here is still going to do a good job of keeping you alive and helping you go ahead and mow down those enemies. So you shouldn't have damage issues, but you might have survival issues due to certain enemies. And I mean, even if acolytes appear, you will absolutely pop them with this. They're going to stand no goddamn chance against you. All right, so that's basically going to be what's going on here. There's not much else going to explain, so I am going to have to go and bring you guys back pretty rapidly because I got another build to go ahead and show you guys, and this is going to be more of a scaling build. Whew. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it so far. Like the video. Now, this one is a lot more ADHD heavy. You are going to go very quick, very rapidly. Pay attention, sit up, okay? So now we're going to move on to the second build here, which is going to be a surgeon dash build. So let's go and explain what is happening here and what is going on. So first things first, we're not really going to be using the fourth ability, but what we are going to be using, just similar to the previous build, is we are going to be using the Raffle advanced ability here. Again, we want that critical chance. This is the main reason why I didn't drop the Exalted blades for the Raffle as well, because I can only use, whenever I subsume something, for those who don't know, whenever you subsume something, you can only put it over one ability on all configs. So right now we get rid of his third because we just don't really need it for either of his configs. That being said though, and listen to me when I say this, his third is actually pretty good for multiplicative damage. His augment's actually pretty good on this third, but his ability is not that great. So I have to get rid of something, and that's going to be the thing I get rid of, unless I want to go and get rid of his second, but I wouldn't mind a little bit of extra survival when I might need survival, or I want the finisher, so I kind of keep a second on there. Anyways, I'm yapping. Back towards the build. So we're going to be introducing the Surgeon dash augment here. Enemies hit during slash dash further increase your melee counter by 8. Now your overall damage of your slash dash actually gets increased by your melee combo counter. So this is actually just going to end up adding towards your melee combo counter to overall pump out more damage on what you're doing with slash dash. Now, as you can see in the rest of the build, the rest of it's pretty much straightforward. So we got things like strength, we got things like duration. Hopefully you understand why I've got those. Again, straight away, Exalted blades. We want to go and help the drain of the ability. So thankfully, well, it's actually in a sweet spot right now. It's exactly 2.5, so it's not going to drain too much, which is fantastic. And if you did see the previous build, then you kind of understand all of the efficiency side of what I've got, because I've just explained it. I don't want to explain it again. Hopefully you guys don't mind that. Anyways, more importantly, what's going to be happening here is duration is going to be helping the Raffle. Strength is going to be helping both of these. Strength. Sorry, I don't even know why I'm talking about Exalted. We're not using Exalted. What am I on about? I'm doing this all in one take. So strength's going to be helping the Raffle. Strength's going to be helping the slash dash. And duration's going to be helping the Raffle as well. More importantly, that's the stage that we're going towards. Now, fast deflection's fine to go ahead and have in here. I won't even lie to you. If you play this right, and if you juggle this well enough, you don't even need a single defensive mod. Yeah, I say that. This gives you iframes. So you don't need rolling guards, you don't need prime shot footage, you don't need anything. But when you come out of slash dashing, you might want something. This is kind of where I just use the fast deflection as a backup. That being said though, I've got two other things in here, so let's go and explain them. Mo Augmented. This is going to give me 60% increased ability strength. So overall, it's just going to increase my overall damage of both of these two abilities. And from there, I've got a brand new Arcane in here called Arcane Truculence. Now, when gaining 3,000 or more overguard threshold, release a 30-meter radial attack that applies max viral status stacks. This is stupidly good, and this is going to synergize with what my secondary weapon is going to be. So I need a way to get to overguards, okay? And I'm going to be wanting to hit big numbers. 10 stacks of viral is going to help me with a 325% amplification to damage to enemies' health. It's kind of a no-brainer right there. That's easy. All I need to go and do is find a way to proc it. This is where my secondary weapons, things like epitaphs or things like grimoires come in, okay? So hopefully you understand the rest of the build there. We're all good. This is just going to be the next part. So from there onwards, it's up to you. You can either go and run the grimoire, and if you do run the grimoire, then keep in mind you also get an extra 60% ability strength. So you've got this. But then you've also got this secondary fortifier. Gain 1 overguard for every 100 damage dealt to an enemy's overguard. Okay, so you are going to be getting overguard from this. So you're basically going to be building it up by shooting out the alt fire. You won't ever use the normal fire. You just use the alt fire. Okay, so use the alt fire, get yourself ability strength, get yourself overguards, and then as overguard is proccing, as overguard's building up, this will build up. Release a 30-meter wave. Now you're going to start slash dashing onto that enemy. Now, before you do all of that, let's talk about the pseudo exalted option, Magistar. Okay, so Magistar, so basically what we're going to be paying attention, so I guess I'll put my evolutions here. You don't really need these evolutions as much, so don't worry about them. I mean, this is innate, so you're good, but these two just kind of ignore for now. This one is more important. You see, what this does is that this gives us a plus 16%, plus 60% base critical chance. So the critical chance base of the weapon goes up by 16%, and the critical damage also goes up by 100%, or a 1x multiplier. Now that 1x multiplier is actually quite a lot. We're going to be wanting that. Now you see, I believe it's slash dash inherently actually does no form of critical. You see, Wrathful actually gives us critical to slash dash. So now we can start going for a critical route, right? This now just amplifies it a little bit more, but we want the critical multiplier. Now, another thing that this will do, but I'll show you in a second. Actually, ignore that. I'll show you that in a second. Now what I want to go and do is build around it. And again, there's a few mods, but I'm just going to put this as simplistic as I can. Remember, damage mods. Okay, damage mods, prime pressure point, spoil strike. You might be thinking, does condition overload work with this? No, unfortunately. Remember, it's just these mods and the evolutions that will carry over to slash dash. It is a pseudo exalted ability. All right, so prime pressure point, spoil strike, damage, melee damage. From there onwards, critical damage, because my critical chance is coming from the ability, so critical damage in here, and the galvanizer still wasn't working, so that's why I've got the organ with gladiator might. Then flat elementals. Okay, you don't need 60s or anything else like that. 90s. This is 90, that's heat, this is 165, just raw damage. Now my Riven has got 300 rolls on it, and this is the best that I could get right now. Critical damage, heat, and melee damage. You are kind of aiming roughly for those same things. It doesn't have to be heat, it can be heat, toxin, whatever you want to go and be, but critical damage, melee damage on a Magistar is looking really, really crispy. The critical chance can also be good, but again, because I'm using Wrathful, it's not really needed as much here. It might bump me up and do crits here, but fair enough. The melee exposure gives me 240% corrosive as well added towards it, so that's like an extra 240% in just this. So overall, I go ahead and get all of these extra mods, all of this extra stats, and that's going to carry over to my first ability. Now, something else that's carrying over to my first ability, and I'm going to have to go and type this in here, is Magus Aggress. And this is another reason why you end up using Magistar. You see, when I go ahead and do a Warframe melee transference, heavy blades, which is a Magistar, it's a heavy blades, deal 300% critical damage for 4 consecutive attacks, right? Let me go and show you what that looks like. So I'm going to go over towards my operator. I'm going to go ahead and heavy attack. As I heavy attack, look up here, Magus Aggress is now procced. So now if I hit an enemy, just one, boom, Magus Aggress charge goes down. If I hit again, it's gone down. If I hit again, it's gone down. I hit again, it's gone down. Magus Aggress has been used up. But, what if I just don't attack with it? Yeah, what if I just casually go ahead and... Oh, it's got a 20-second cooldown. I've just realized. Well, let the cooldown go ahead and happen. But what if I don't attack with it? Basically, I can carry that 300% critical damage multiplier over to my slash dash. Yeah, so I'm going to be doing a lot of extra damage on my first ability, which is going to be absolutely huge. So if I go and do it now, that's now active. What's going to happen? It's going to look something somewhat similar to basically what I'm going to be doing now. This goes over, and then boom. So from an ability that did, what, 1.7 thousand when I was showing you guys earlier, is now doing a couple mils. And that's without the Truculence proc. So if I now go and show you what that would also go ahead and look like, if I go up here, and I go and summon some Eximus units. Also, going to go and show you that, again, Magus Aggress stayed active that entire time. It wasn't used because I didn't attack with Magistar. So let's go and show you what Truculence looks like really quickly. If I go ahead and do this. See those waves coming out of me like that? Those are 10 stacks of viral. So if I go and hit them now, see the damage that I'm doing on these guys. So again, that's the 10 stats. So if I go and shoot that out, watch the wave build up. Oh, I guess yeah, they don't have overguards, but if you see up here, you get a percentage, and that percentage is what you keep your eyes on. All right, so whenever you're inside a mission, pay attention to your percentage. So if you go and see it around like 80 odd percent or 70 odd percent, and you're about to go and shoot your alt fire out, do aim for an Eximus and get ready for the waves to come out. I'll show you one more time in case I went a little bit quick there. And I'm sorry that I sound rushed throughout this entire video. There's a lot to go over, all right? Forgive me. Hopefully I've been pretty well at terms of explaining everything. My God, so much to go and do. So let's go and look at the 83% up there and watch my character go ahead and push the waves out. You ready? Oh, I'm max cap. That's why. Oh yeah, so this is interesting. Yeah, so actually this is good that I've caught this actually. So unfortunately I have max cap right now on my overguards. So what I need to go and do, remember it's every 3,000. I actually need them to go and shoot it off me really quick. And that's perfect, thank you. Don't kill me, don't kill me. Just gonna go ahead and remove that status proc on me. And then remember, it's every 3,000 generated. Now, the good thing is you won't reach max cap more than likely on this build anyways, all right? But let's go ahead and look at that 83%. I'm going to go and use it again and look at the waves come out. 1, 2, 3. 3 waves of that coming out. I go straight into this. I don't mean to press that ability. And then I go straight in towards this and get lots of damage off on it as well. If you end up juggling this pretty well, you end up getting some really, really good returns. So there's a lot going on there. To try and break that down, to go ahead and show you if you want some really big damage from this, I'll try and go ahead and slow it down a little bit for you and tell you the damage rotation that I'm doing. First things first is I will try and build up my strength. So I do 2 things. I dash into the ground like this. For those who are wondering, because I get asked this question a lot, how do I do that? So normally people will like, that's just, if you press space, that's what you're doing. If you do control, then space. See what I mean? Now you need to dash into the ground a few times anyways to go ahead and get sling strength. So, but just realize cloak, then dash, then switch, you're good. That's 40% ability strength already. Then alt fire with that. Try and hit Eximus units if you can. Try and hit enough units that you build up 60% ability strength and your Truculence procs that wave out. You saw what the wave looks like, right? When that wave goes out. So now you've got the ability. Now, proc into this, into your Colorvo's raffle, because you would have got more from that. Now, just slash dash into them. And I'm going to teach you one extra thing. Headshot multipliers do also factor in. Yes, so if you can jump up and go down into them like that, you could end up getting some big damage. I don't know if I want to go and put a clip in here or whatever, but you will end up seeing a clip of me. I got 559 million damage. Now, and the reason why I tell you that's actually pretty damn gross, because 559 million, that's without really technically primering and getting condition overload and so forth of it. So that's 559 million raw from what we're kind of doing right now. That's a lot of damage, okay? You're going to be hitting that all the time, mind you, all right? You're definitely going to be doing that. So anyways, one more time, straight into towards the ground, up here, go ahead and push that out. That's going to go and hit them. I don't have the overguard, pulse out, whatever. Straight into raffle, straight into 1, so forth. And again, you can jump and cancel it if you want to, and you'll see how, like, I'll angle down, I'll angle down into them. This is why not a lot of people like doing this build an awful lot, because it's a very active build. But I didn't land any headshot multipliers there, but it is what it is. But yeah, sometimes, especially if you're going downstairs on them like that, you can go and get a headshot multiplier as well, all right? Oh my God, that was so much to go over. Did I miss anything there? I don't think so. Archon Shards, let's go and talk about Archon Shards. Just really quickly, I won't spend too long on this. Energy maximum is filled on spawn. I will always say this inside my videos, inside my builds. You'll get used to me basically promoting this. Number 1, this all depends on my Exiler slot. So in my Exiler slot, I can either normally take 1 of 2 mods that I think are basically the best mods that exist in Warframe right now for the Exalted slots. Can I take Prime Shell Footed or can I take Preparation? It just depends, all right? If my Warframe can be knocked down and I don't have a way to prevent that, then I will go and take Prime Shell Footed. but that's only on the Chromatic Blade build. On the Surge and Dash build, I don't take Prime Sure-Footed. So it really just depends which one I'm doing, okay? But anyways, because of that, I might go and run Preparation. Preparation is 100%, it's a mod, 100% maximum energy is filled on spawn. Well, again, I will end up just using the Power Drift, whatever. So I'm basically going to use this. It just allows me to go and use my abilities as soon as I start a mission. Very easy to go and understand, all right? From there onwards, these are melee critical damage, but they double on when my energy is over 500. Basically, you put these on and you put a Prime Flow on your build. Easy to understand, right? So instead of that being 25, that's 50 critical damage. Hundreds, 150, 200. That's 200 critical damage. To give you an idea as to where the critical damage is all coming from as well on the Surgeon, just really quick before we go and move on, right? So 90% here, 60% there, 88% there, or 89%, let's go and round it up. 200% here, Magus Aggress 100%. Sorry, Evolution 4 here, Magistar Evolution 4 100%, Magus Aggress 300%. So a lot of extra multipliers that we're getting on this build because of all of it coming together. Now, all we need, so that's all critical damage, all we need now is a way to go and get critical chance. Ta-da! Okay, there you go, excellent. So I'll go and put some gameplay up on the screen here now that you can go and see this one, because this was a very long video. Forgive me guys, but I was actually nervous making this one because I wanted to go and give you guys a good build for you guys to go enjoy. And as you can go and see, it is absolutely just, honestly, it's Excalibur lore. Like, could this be any more Excalibur heavy? This is what I would imagine he would go ahead and do if we left him off being canon to his own self, right? And just absolutely deleting everything and making it look really, really effortless. Now, don't get me wrong, it's this super, super active build, so my goodness, not everybody likes this style, but it's currently one of, if not his actual best build that you can go ahead and run right now. Just amplifying as much damage as you can with his first ability, and then just nuking those enemies down. Off you go, lovely jubbly, right? Not much else to really say about that. I won't lie to you guys. You have invulnerability so long as you are in this ability, but if you do need to go ahead and utilize your operator, if you do need to go and utilize things like rolling guard, whatever else you need as a backup, do consider it as well, all right? But otherwise, just have fun hitting big damage numbers and go yippee. It's really, really nice. You can get 200 mils, 100 mils, up to 500 mils. I've not said any higher than that. I could try and min-max it a bit further. I think I might be able to hit 700 mil, but that's mostly where I'm kind of like, I'm really pushing the build right now, okay? So without further ado, let's go and bring you guys back, and I'm not going to yap any further. I'm just going to say thank you guys for watching today's video. I'm so sorry it was a long one. All right, my bad. My bad. But all I can go and say is that if you did enjoy today's video and you do enjoy the builds, please go and leave a like on the video. It would mean an awful lot to me. And if you think there would be someone out there who would enjoy this or enjoy this video, please go and share the video with friends. And I will catch you guys again in the next one. Subscribe if you're new. All right, I'm just done yapping. I'll see you guys later. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. Goodbye. Goodbye.